Hi, everyone. Here we are on a new day, a new week, and we are going to be talking about resilience and about resilience and sometimes we just get a little bit off, and we want to learn to be able to correct that, to be able to put things into an alignment in harmony, that we can live in harmony. So I have a couple things I want to share with you. First of all, I collect things and put them in a file that's just called inspiration. And I've been going through that along with other files lately, as you know. And I came across this card that I had picked up somewhere. And you can see that it's just a bird that's colored in. And what it says about it is something that I want you to think, this is why we are doing these classes. It's a bird sitting in a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not in the branch, it's in her own wings. And I want you to think about that. We want to be able to trust our own wings, to trust who we are and who we can be. So I want you to remember, this is such an important thing, and I'm going to be showing it to you again. Um, Remember, a bird never is afraid of the branch breaking. It's never afraid of the branch breaking. It because it doesn't trust the branch, it trusts its own wings. I want you to be able to trust your own wings. And so we've been working on trying to decide who we are and what it is we really want in life. And how much would you give for that? I want to tell you about somebody also that was in my inspiration file, and I had kind of forgot about him, and he was one of the people that I really respect. I'm sure it's not anybody you know, but you see this, it's the celloist of Surveil. And and I'm saying that wrong. Uh, Sarah Veo. Oh my goodness. And it's in Bosnia. And so this article was in the Reader's Digest in 1996. And what had happened is, this was happened in May 27th, 1992 is when this happened. The article was in 96. And this in Sarajevo, there you go, Sarajevo, there was one bakery that still had flour for bread, and it was making bread and sending it out to the people, that this is what was keeping people alive at all. And when there was a long line of people, a bomb landed right in the line, and 22 people were killed. Okay, so this 35-year-old cellist, and his name is Vedran Smolivark, I think is how you would say it. And he had been a celloist with the Sarajevo Opera. And he could look out his window, his apartment window, and look down where this carnage happened. And he got to the place where he was so upset, he had so much anguish that he didn't know what to do. And then he decided he would do what he knew how to do, and that was play music. So for the next 22 days, at 4 o'clock, exactly when the bomb had hit, he put on his full dress. You can see him here, completely with tails and the whole thing, completely dressed like that, took his cello, walked down into the midst of the battle that was still raging all around him, plastic chair beside a crater that the shell had hit, and he started to play. And bombs were still exploding around him, and bullets. And the masonry, the bricks that these buildings were made were flying around, and he courageously just kept playing. And he said he was playing for human dignity, for those that were lost in the war, for his whole civilization, for compassion, and for peace. The shellings kept going. He was never hurt. Then the newspapers started picking it up, and Yo-Yo Ma, the pianist, wrote a whole not just a song, but a whole concert piece to be played. So when they had finally, when this was over and they had a big concert, Yo-Yo Ma was there, and all the great celloists and musicians from all over came and played that, and then he came out and played the cello. Now, all we can do if we want to stand up for the dignity of humanity, for peace, for love, for joy, is to do what we can do, whatever it is. And it can be singing a song, it can be saying a prayer, it can be doing yoga, it can be doing whatever, painting a picture. But we're doing it for the dignity of humanity. I think this is the piece. This is the piece of mindfulness. So that's what we're going to talk about, because the more mindful we can be, the stronger we can be in our soul and in our spirit, then we can be like that bird that doesn't trust the branch. We don't have to trust the chaos. We don't have to trust the government. We don't have to trust any of these things. But we do need to trust ourselves. We do need to trust the fact that spirit, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is the wind beneath our sails. It's what has guided us and is guiding us. So I'm giving you a few different things. I think 12 or 13 things on resilience. And that's why we're studying mindfulness, because we want more and more resilience. Okay, so the first thing with resilience is reframing your thoughts. And so I had something that happened to me in the early 2000s that I will never forget. And if you've been in any of my classes, you probably have heard me before this. And I think you can see this picture. All right, so you look at this picture, and it's in Montana, and this is the Bitterroot Mountains. And I was staying by the Sapphire Mountains, which is over here, and this is a valley, the Bitterroot Valley. And my daughter had a house up here. Well, I woke up that morning, I looked out the window, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. And except I looked down here and I thought, what is that down there? What is that? Because there is no lake there. I'm used to looking out my window and seeing a lake that would be here, but I thought, no, there is no lake here. There's a little town. Then I realized that this was fog down at the bottom of the mountain, and underneath this fog, which is very thick, is the little town of Corvallis. And I thought, I am looking out at this beautiful day and thinking, what are we going to do today? Let's go take a hike up into there's a hike here that is the Bear Trail, and I love it so much. And so I thought, oh, we can take a hike today. But had I woke up 2 miles into Corvallis, I would have woke up and I would have had just fog everywhere. Same place, 2 miles away. So to me, reframing your thoughts, getting that perspective of what life is is this picture. Right where you are this minute, you might be in the fog. Right where you are right this minute, you might not understand or know exactly what you want. You might have some what feels like mountains ahead of you. You might have what feels like completely stumbling blocks, but you just need to move. Instant perspective to me is the kaleidoscope. It's twisting that kaleidoscope. And I'm big on that thing. As you can see behind me, it looks like a kaleidoscope too. Is I am big on that because that's what I think life is. And we can just turn it and get a different picture. It's what happened to me when two of you had said something to me which reminded me that I hadn't been turning the kaleidoscope. I was thinking that we needed to move. That was my thought because people kept putting that into my mind of the fact how we would be, um, we're getting older. We would be good to have a smaller house, a smaller yard, less work, um, being closer to our kids, being closer to where there's a store, where there's this and that and this and that. But I was making that decision out of fear, not out of love, because I love where I am. I can do the work, and it isn't a life or death thing for me to have something smaller. I was making it the choice, maybe a good choice, out of a logical choice, all prefrontal cortex choice, but it was still out of fear. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to ever do that or not do that, but the fact is, right at this moment, it is not right for me. Right at this moment is a time that I am going to move with love. I'm turning the kaleidoscope. I'm saying, this is what I want right now. Doesn't mean it's what I want forever. It's what I want right now. So that's instant perspective. That's reframing. Reframing, remember that if you are in Corvallis instead of up in the mountains, it's time to just move a little. Just move your body, even changes. When you just move your body, you change. So, humor. Now, the other day I had a funny thing happen. I was in Walmart and I saw watermelon, and I had such an instant craving. I can't even explain it to you. And I'm not usually a real craving food person, but it was like unbelievable. I wanted that watermelon so bad. So I'm in line, and this lady that's checking me out checks out the watermelon and says, "Do you know that this watermelon is $8?" And I said, "Yes, I I I do." And she said, "You still want it?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Because I have such a craving." And the only other time I had such a food craving that I can remember is I was pregnant with Becca. And now Becca's in 50, and I don't think I'm pregnant, but I did say, if I am pregnant, then I don't have to worry about the $8 because I'm going to sell this story of being pregnant at 73 years old, 74 years old, and and $8 is going to be nothing. And she's like, "Well, you're probably not pregnant," but now she's laughing. Humor is really good, and we want to find humor everywhere we can. And I said, "And if I'm not pregnant and I just have this craving, this addictive feeling that I just had to have it," I said, $8 is really cheaper than having a gambling addiction, or a drug addiction, or let's see, any addiction almost costs more than $8. Smoking, anything. So I said, "Really, is it such a big deal that it's $8?" And then by now she's laughing and she goes, "No, you could have two if you want." I said, "Well, I think one's enough." But she was laughing, I was laughing. Try to find humor. Humor puts things into perspective really quickly. Doing anything creative, even doodling for 10 minutes creates the same thing in your brain as meditating for 10 minutes. So you doodle, color, create something, create, paint on rocks that you can put different places that somebody with beautiful sayings that somebody else can pick up. Remember happy times. That is something that we all need to remember. Maybe make one book of happy memories. You can just write them out on little cards. You can put a picture in. This picture is a happy memory picture to me. We had a really fun time on that trip there visiting, and so that is a good memory for me. Use all your senses. If you feel a little off, if you feel like you're just not in tune and something is just throwing you off, then start to remember happy times. Use your senses. Start to think, just stop a minute, take a breath, and say to yourself, what can I see? Use every one of your senses. What can I see? What can I hear? What can I smell? You might not be able to taste a whole lot. Maybe you will be able to taste a lot. But use all those senses. And then just intuitively, what am I feeling? Connect with your gut. Think, what am I feeling? Just stop. And I can guarantee you're going to feel different because your vagal nerve is going to respond differently. Give yourself credit for the good things you've done, the things that worked for you. My mom had a friend, and she used to say when things would you do something and it would maybe be something that she thought was good and or was that was worked well, and she'd say, "Oh, that is a jewel in your crown. When you're in heaven, it's a jewel in your crown." When I asked her one time, "What is that exactly, Helen?" and she said, "When we all go, when we go and we are in the kingdom, you will get a crown. And all the good things that you've done, all the kindnesses you've showed will be a jewel in your crown." And so one day she and my mom were doing something at the school, and it had been a really stressful day for them, and they got home and they were both just like, and they had a glass of wine before she left, and I happened to drop in at that time. And I said, "Not a good day, ladies?" And she goes, and they both go, "Oh my gosh." And then Helen got up to leave and she goes, "But Nancy, it's a jewel in her crown." So when you do something, and even if it's a little stressful, even if you didn't want to smile, even if you didn't want to do whatever it is you did, was a jewel in your crown. And so that always makes me laugh. Another thing is the finger flick. If something bothers you, if somebody bothers you, if you're feeling like, um, heck, flick, flick it off, flick it off, whether you're doing it or somebody else. And you can kind of maybe do it a little easy, because I had somebody that was in a big corporation, and it was, and he said to me, he said, pretty soon people started asking him, because when somebody said something that irritated him, he'd go like this. And he said, then people started to watch to see if he was irritated with him. So you might want to be a little discreet with it, but it works when spouses, kids, anybody says something. I might just flick that, like I have a Teflon suit on, and that's not going to bother me. Just flick it off. Okay, you can rub along that occipital ridge in the back of your head. That will help if you are feeling stressful. Shoulders up and shoulders down. We do that a lot. That helps. Um, breathe. A lot of times when we feel stress, when we feel uh, that we're just off, we're not breathing. We're not breathing well. So you can breathe in, hold it, and out. Remember how I told you that one of the top neurologists in the world says that that will reset our brain. Breathe in to 6, breathe, hold your breath for 3, breathe out to 6. Now, if you have any breathing issues, if you have asthma, if you have emphysema, anything that is a breathing issue, it could cause you more problems. You might feel like you can't do that. Don't stop. Just lower the numbers. Breathe in to 3. Hold it for 1. Breathe out to 3. Breathe, think of it as a box. You can put any numbers you want, whatever is comfortable for you, but it is that point of you just push a little farther the next time. It's just that feeling of just doing consistent things. Remember, it isn't about how long you do something or how well, it's consistency that matters. Um, Visualize. This is a big thing, and one of the things that I want you to know is this is something that people have always done. Now, I don't know if you had this when you were a little kid, but I did. It was a worry box, and inside of it are these little worry dolls. I don't know if anybody's had these, but they're little worry dolls, and it you can each worry doll might be something different. Now, obviously, if you're a teenager, and I don't know if these were mine or one of my girls, but you might have, it might be some kind of a thing that you wanted to go to a dance or something, or if you got older, it might be money, it might be whatever it is that you're worrying about. Each of these can have a different feeling. And at night, when you are ready to go to bed, you take your worry dolls, you look at them, you think of what they represent, and they go in their little box, and then they get the top put on them. Because the worries have to stay in this box and not bother you sleeping. It doesn't matter if you have this box, if you get a cardboard box, if you just have an envelope that you put your worries in. But it is a good idea. Surgeons, they have found that surgeons that write down exactly what they're going to do the next day sleep better. Otherwise, it keeps going around in their subconscious and keeps them from sleeping. It's the same thing as the worry box. You need to get things out of your subconscious before you try to rest. So these little worry dolls are what has been around for many, many years. Another thing is when we think that we've done something that is you wish you wouldn't have done, something that helps, because remember, our subconscious is about like a 7-year-old. So we need to, if we write stuff down, it makes a big difference because you're using more of your senses. You're using the ways we learn. You know, we learn a lot of different ways. We learn visually and by touching and by listening. So it's a good idea if you write it down, if you actually say something. But if it's something that you're sorry you did, write it down and erase it. Erase it. Erase it from your life. Now, if it's something really big, you might need a really big mistakes, because this is really for big mistakes. But most of us just have little mistakes. But writing it down and then erasing it makes a big difference. Have a place where you can imagine life being full of harmony and joy, a place that you laugh, a place that you feel at peace. Right now, because we're going to be doing our movement classes, right now, I am thinking about what can I do to make this little area more beautiful. my yoga area, my movement class area? What can I do to make it more beautiful? What can I do that this is the place that my group can think of when they want to relax, when they want to think about it, when they want to bring that feeling back up? That's what I'm working on. So I want you to think about that and think of how you want to do these things. Can you use these things to make your life better? What we're going to be talking about next week is we're starting a series from a man. I don't know if you have read this or not. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. This is still the number one um, book on creating what it is you want. He talks a lot. I know it's talking about grow rich, but what is rich to you? Does it have to do with money? Because to me, our richness, what I think about when I think about being rich is health. Health is richness to me. Money is nice. You know, I'd like money, but I'm not going to risk any health to do it, because health to me is the greatest peace. Friends, family, those, the relationships that we have, great wealth. So we're going to use this book, which, like I say, is a number one, and it was written in the 30s, and people have used it and had wonderful things. But he actually comes up with almost a pattern. And so we're going to be working on that a couple weeks, and I'll be sharing that with you. And I hope that you're well. I hope that you're having a good week. And um, if you want to come to the live one, if you want to put something in the chat box, that is good. Whatever you want to do, I hope that you're enjoying this, and um, have a good day and a good week.